Hello, Shrewdness fans. We are coming to you live from all over the world.
Safe houses abound. Don't ask where. Don't
I'm
ask
Prue
questions.
in Oklahoma. Chiz is in Mexico somewhere at a safe house.
Viva Mexico!
Dex is in the St. Louis area, and we've got a guest tonight. Dex, introduce our guest if you would.
All right. I am super happy to bring onto the show for his first guest appearance of hopefully many, Tommy Kreitzer. We served together a couple different duty stations down in Alabama and then in Hawaii, and we've just stayed friends ever since. And he's got a phenomenal Hawaiian shirt that I'm happy that I got to point him out to. It's a Bengals shirt, which leads us into what this week's episode's all about, the AFC North impact rookies to look at. And so Tommy's got a phenomenal Bengals Hawaiian shirt. I totally failed everybody on the AFC West because I have a Chiefs one. I just got my Chiefs shirt on. I was feeling all happy about it. And then I remembered as soon as we finished that episode, I didn't wear my awesome KC Chiefs. Ren Spooner. So for Brian Wilson out there, thanks for introducing me to Ren Spooner Hawaiian shirts. They're the best. Hey, if you want to sponsor us too, Ren Spooner, let us know. We're there.
Yeah, we will wear your shirts for every video if you decide to sponsor the podcast.
It's the best.
We're all about the free ads.
Right here. Here it is.
So,
right to the tag.
That's what we got going. That is our focus today. I want to take us first to the team that always...
Wait, Dex, before we start, can we just... I feel like we all just owed Tommy a personal apology, for the last few years. Tommy, I just want to say I'm sorry. If it had my way, we would give you guys some titles as well. You're good friends in Cincinnati land. So I just want to apologize on behalf of Chiefs Kingdom. And, there's good stuff coming. Good stuff coming.
It's okay. Because, we still have the only quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game. So we're going to hold on that as long as we need to. This year we could see the same thing because we don't see each other in the regular season. So it could be destiny. And if it is, maybe we should do a live podcast while we watch the game.
Absolutely.
So that I can watch you guys squirm. And then if it goes the bad way, which would be your way, I could say, "Oh, it's Taylor Swift. It's all about Taylor Swift." And and
always got to hang that one.
Or whoever she's got in the booth next to her.
It's just the refs. Right. The refs did it. We have a whole episode on that whole segment.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw that Patrick Mahomes and the refs switched jerseys after the game.
Right.
Was it last year?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to pay that many people off at the perfect time each and every week. But that's
just
what we do.
Just tell me why the Chiefs blew the game against the Broncos last year. Just tell me why. Just be honest. You know why. Come on, Dex. Tell me why.
I didn't want to see the Bengals in the playoffs. Why make it harder for ourselves?
That's it. I can log off now. The truth is out. There it is.
I mean, I don't think anyone's really hiding that. I mean, why would we want to play a hot team? That makes no sense.
Your tight end specifically said, "We're not afraid of anybody."
I didn't say we're afraid.
No, your tight end said, "We are not afraid of anybody."
And that's accurate. That's an accurate statement.
Oh, okay.
Accurate.
Not afraid.
Accurate. Maybe they should have been afraid of somebody like the Philadelphia Eagles last year.
And if only there was a game earlier in the year that would have counted and mattered that had impact on the season.
Right.
When they did play.
That Taylor wasn't there. Taylor wasn't there for that one.
I opened this can of worms. I take full responsibility for this. I poked the bear. I'm sorry, Tommy.
That's why I'm wearing sunglasses, because I have to hide my identity as a Bengals fan because we don't have brown paper bags anymore. So
the Jets took them all.
Right.
All right. That's
right, Dex.
Let's redirect.
Should we start this thing? All right.
Let's get back on topic.
All right, Shrewdness listeners, let's get back on the rails. Thanks, Prue. All right, let's go to the team. Let's start with the team that always their hallmark is they're never below 500, but boy, they're never much above 500 either. So Mike Tomlin, the team that always just gets in and gets beat, Pittsburgh Steelers. So Pruitt's going to take us through there. Who did they draft? Is it going to change this year, Prue? What do we got for Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh didn't draft a real skill position player until the third round. I don't think they had a second round pick, and they took an offensive lineman in the first round. But their third round pick was number 83 overall, running back Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. He's a pretty good sized back, 6 foot tall, 225, but really doesn't run like a bruising running back. He's really more of a patient kind of like finesse runner who has pretty good vision. I thought that was one of his better characteristics. If we watch some of his highlights here, you'll see him kind of pause and wait for his blocks to develop. He runs outside. He runs straight up the middle. He sees the field well, and he's kind of a one-cut running back.
Feel
Not
like
super fast.
the Steelers may have just drafted him because they just like that he wears Steeler colors already.
I did
Looks
think
like
about
he's
that.
already playing for Pittsburgh. That's helpful.
His 40 time was like a 4.57, which is under average, really. But he's a pretty good combination of size and speed. He's not going to break away from anybody, but he does, like I said, he's got good vision and sees the field well. So anyway,
don't tell Iowa State that he can't run away from anybody. He just said, "Whatever, watch this."
That's right.
In Iowa State, they obviously have some good wideouts. We talked about them already.
His claim to fame: he had 23 total touchdowns last year, which was an Iowa record, and was Big Ten running back of the year. So as far as fantasy impact, he's going to be at least start the year behind Jaylen Warren. Unfortunately, he's going to have kind of a low floor, and we'll talk more on future episodes about
why that's a bad
Guillotine
thing.
fantasy football impact and why a low floor is bad. He may not have many touches at the start of the season. The other thing,
yeah, we want.
I don't like him.
Yeah, he may have some touches inside the red zone just because of his size, but like I said, he's really not a bruising running back. So the jury's kind of still out on whether or not he's going to really be impactful in your Guillotine league, but he's a capable back. He may work himself into a starting role.
Well, it seems like a decent thing. I think what I saw is that he can at least catch the ball a little bit, and he's going to be someone that's useful. He doesn't have to go out on a passing down, which is always nice. They got rid of Najee Harris, so there's some space in the running back room.
Yeah,
I think he
definitely
could carve out a spot. And yeah, number 83 overall, Steelers saw something they liked.
I do like the fact that he's not a bruising running back, but he's got good size. So he's not going to take a pounding like a lot of those guys, that are bigger. They're used to bowling over people in college, and then they get to the NFL and get beat up. Right. So his natural tendency is to kind of avoid contact. He can bounce off tacklers, but he's not lowering his head and bowling over them. So anyway, he may end up with some limited fantasy impact.
All right. Thanks, Prue. What else? I think they got themselves a quarterback, too, even though they just signed Aaron, which was – we'll talk about that in a future episode, too. I don't know how that's going to work out. But who else did they get?
They got Will Howard, Mr. Natty. Come on, Prue. Talk about the Natty man.
Yeah, 6th round, they drafted quarterback Will Howard out of the Ohio State University. Who, if you're not keeping track, won the national championship last year. He was 4th in FBS with 35 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions and a staggering 73% completion percentage.
Yeah.
Which is nothing to sneeze at.
No. They didn't have any talent around him, though. I mean, I don't know how he did so much with so little.
Oh, boy. We're gonna open this one, too.
So Tommy's other favorite team is Ohio State. And so I figure he might have a little something to say on this, too. I'm just poking the bear again. It's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
But Will Howard is pretty good. Keep going, Prue. I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just having a little fun.
Tommy pointed out that Will Howard's already kind of worked himself into the second-string quarterback spot on the depth chart. He's off to a good start in OTAs. And he's playing behind Aaron Rodgers, who's no spring chicken, as most people know. He could go down at any time, including the 4th play of the season.
Ouch.
Right? That he did a couple of years ago. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that Will Howard would be thrust into the spotlight within the first half of the season. If he continues to play well and so forth, he may be the heir apparent, and they might just ride Aaron Rodgers as long as he can stay vertical, right? And then they'll hand the reins over to Will Howard. So
absolutely.
The thing I like about him, if you watch some of his highlights, you'll notice Will Howard makes quick decisions. He drops back, he stays on time, makes his reads quickly. That can be too quickly at times, so he'll have to learn to adapt and read NFL defenses and so forth. But that's a great quality to have is a good quick decision maker and stay on time with your receivers. So
Sure.
Yeah, DraftKings actually had him going in the first round after the national championship, but then his combine performance really set him back. He had quite literally one of the worst combine performances of all the quarterbacks.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah,
which was really surprising to me, actually.
After you just won a national championship, you wouldn't think that the pressure would get to you at a combine.
Yeah.
But, all the scouting reports, they had him probably in the first round, not necessarily ahead of, Cam and Shador and,
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, Dart.
Yeah.
But they definitely had him as a top prospect. And then after the combine, for some reason, I don't know, it all kind of fell apart for him. But I agree with Prue. I think I'm going to call it now. I'm saying week 8 or 10, Aaron Rodgers is down. Will Howard comes in, probably a good guy to have on your fantasy league. He's a productive guy. At least that's the way he's looking right now out of this offense.
That's a shrewd take, Tommy. I like that shrewd take. I
agree. And I like it because I can't even see, even if Aaron Rodgers is in the right headspace, which that's a big question mark.
Doubtful.
Even if he is, I mean, he's not a mobile quarterback and he's 40 years old. So those guys usually don't play full seasons. So I think there's gonna be a chance at some point for Will to show his stuff.
Yeah, and so the thing is, Ohio State scooped him from K-State, and it was kind of a big deal because K-State was relevant for a season, and then the 6'4", 235-pounder went to Ohio State and won a championship, which is very nice for them. But K-State lost, so I got to watch. That was the one K-State game I went to when I was living in Kansas. And boy, did we got sweet seats. But Will Howard is also pretty sweet to watch play. He was unbelievable. He trucked in the Big 12, and then he went to the Big 10 and did even more. And he did have a lot of talent. I was kind of getting it a little bit, but they had Judkins and Jeremiah Smith and Travion Henderson. They had a lot of weapons, but you can still mess that up. And he didn't. He used them perfectly. And I thought that was kind of a testament to how he can play. I mean, he's going to have real weapons in the NFL too, and knowing what to do with them and when to do it, at what times to do it, I think is a good hallmark to have as a quarterback. So I agree. I don't know. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have to be hurt for that to happen. But like Bruce said, like Tommy said, is 42 now or 41?
I think he's 42 this year.
That is a high probability that he will not play 16, 17 games this year, which means Will Howard will be there at some point. And I think he would be a valuable bench spot.
Yeah, the only thing that's got me skeptical this year, Aaron Rodgers is actually he showed up to 8 OTAs. In the past, he's been like this. Oh, yeah, he was there today. I saw a video of him throwing with DK Metcalf today. He's usually, this diva. He doesn't show up until actual training camp and all that other kind of stuff. He was there the last 2 days at OTAs actually throwing. But I also saw who was standing right behind him, absorbing it like a sponge. The guy we're talking about, Mr. Will Howard, was standing right there learning from the man, too.
Yeah,
what a fantastic opportunity to learn from a dude like Aaron Rodgers.
Multi-time MVP, multi-Super Bowl winner. So, I'm not multi. I guess he only won one, didn't he? Aaron's only got one championship.
One. He got a couple league MVPs, but only one Super Bowl.
That's right. All right, so that's Pittsburgh. We're going to next go to Tommy's team of choice. And again, he didn't have the brown bag to celebrate. But the Cincinnati Bengals, they had a draft too. And impact rookie skill position players. Let me look at all this. Let me see which one we want to talk about first. Let's get to.
Oh, wow. This is hurting me now. You want me to just tell you how bad my team is until the 4th round? I mean, I can.
All right. So just go in there. There's got to be something good. Please dig out for our Cincinnati faithful out there the good things that came from this draft for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, the good things that came out of this draft is we were defense specific, but that's not really going to help you in your Guillotine League. Unfortunately for us Bengal fans, we all know what's going on right now with our ownership, and we haven't signed our 1st or 2nd round pick yet. So they are still standing on the sidelines in OTA. So we're going to have to fast forward all the way to the 4th round for someone who might actually help us this year with fantasy football, and that is Dylan Fairchild. He is a huge guard out of Georgia at 6'5", 318 pounds. Big, broad frame, arm length is good. He's got good ability and power, shows impressive twitch and burst out from his stance. Really excels at driving for the vertical double teams, and he's really big on the running game. You can see him here just pushing people out of the way to get those first downs. One of the big things about him, he won the Georgia State Heavyweight Wrestling Championship as a junior and a senior. Jeez. And graduated with a 67-0 record. So he'd
be good on your wrestling team too.
Yeah, maybe if the football thing doesn't work out, maybe we can start a wrestling team in Cincinnati. But the offensive line coach is a Greco-Roman wrestler champion, and the defensive coach is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So they like to bring in these specialty coaches to help out with things. But final takeaway, right now Dylan Fairchild is getting first team reps, filling in for Cordell Volson. My Bengals fans know how wonderful that guy is. We just restructured his contract for more money. But he's a very balanced guard. Definitely is going to add some upswing with the running. So that's going to help your Chase Brown. So if you're looking at Chase Brown being a contributing factor and not just the passing game that's coming out of Cincinnati, he will definitely push some people around and make some holes for Chase Brown in the upcoming season. Of course, we all know Chase Brown's got that speed, baby.
I love Chase Brown. He may or may not be the reason I got my head chopped off last year because I just need him to stop catching freaking balls that game. He had 8 catches in that stupid game for the running back. That's it.
This guy, I got to say, Tommy, I'm a big fan of Dylan Fairchild, but I'm a big fan of SEC linemen in general. I think that they are best battle tested for the NFL. They've gone against the biggest, strongest, fastest guys for their college careers. Yeah. And so that transition is not nearly as difficult for them when they get in the NFL. I mean, still bigger, faster guys, but that jump is not nearly as big. And he has played against the best of the best at Georgia. So I think he could be a real help for you guys. Even if he ends up just being depth, you're going to get some injuries on the offensive line. And this guy can come in and I think the drop off is going to be minimal. And he may even win a starting spot if he plays well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot of him coming in as the second tackle on the left on your goal line stances, doing that extra push for those running backs to get across the line. And it's like you said, between the SEC and the Big Ten.
Big Ten.
They're big boys now on the offensive line, and that transition into the NFL is definitely a good carryover.
So I do want to mention they did draft. So for everybody out there, Shrewdness World, didn't they draft a running back? Yeah. We were talking about impact players, though, in Guillotine. And running back Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. We don't believe he's going to be an impact player this year. And maybe not any year. I mean, he's a 6th round, 193rd pick overall. He's got size. He's 5'10", 230. He did have 1,500 yards last year. I mean, it's not like he's a nobody. 17 touchdowns. But I think he's 4th on the depth chart right now, Tommy. Is that where he's at?
Yeah, right now you got Chase Brown leading the pack, and then for my diehard Bengal fans, we've got Samaje Perine back who went to the Super Bowl with us, and he is obviously going to be our third down out of the backfield. In my opinion, he should be the first and second downers because he's bigger and thicker, and Chase Brown should be the guy out of the backfield. But hey, you know what? I'm not running the Bengals, and they do whatever it is that they do. But
right.
And then we signed a free agent running back from, I think it was the Packers. And then we got Taj Brooks coming in somewhere around the 4th spot. But that doesn't, it's OTAs, it's early rookie camp. We can see what happens. But I don't see him beating out Samaje Perine as the second string. And I don't think anybody's beating out Chase, who I think he's projected 12th in the league right now for running back.
Yeah, he could possibly be a first-round pick in your Geo leagues. I mean, definitely second probably just because he catches so many stupid passes and knocks people out of their Geo leagues. But other than that, I don't think you need to draft him at all, but it's good. All right, let's move on. Anyone else of any talkability for the Bengals? Before I don't want to shortchange you, Tommy. If there's someone else, I didn't see anybody, but before I say that, I want you to agree.
We'd have to do a whole – I could sit, me, Dex, I'll sit here and I'll talk for hours about the Bengals, and I'll – bash the Chiefs while I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's a true fan, though.
That is
the best.
That is a conversation for another day when everyone's ready to just see some fireworks and not talk about what's their actual Guillotine league coming up.
That's true.
So.
Yeah.
All right, so let's pivot over to the team we can all agree to hate, the Baltimore Ravens. And for Ravens fans out there, we kind of jest a little bit. We respect Baltimore a lot because boy, do they give us close games, but boy, do we love them. Because they're always close and end up on our side for the Chiefs fans out there. So Baltimore Ravens, though, they had 11 picks. They're going to pony up that offense. Let's get it going. It can't just be Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. We're going to add some talent. 11 total picks, one skill position. All right, we're going to do all those skill positions over to you, Chisholm. Tell us
That's right.
who they got.
That's right.
The 1 out of 11 that's offense.
Hey, Baltimore had a great draft. If you look at the grades, and because they do Baltimore stuff, which is we're going to draft all defense all the time. I mean, it's like they stack defense every year. They have phenomenal defense every year. They reload every year in defense. But then you look at the offensive side of the ball and you're like,
Lamar.
All right, we got Lamar, and let's hope Lamar does some cool stuff because he's not going to have much to throw to. And so just when you think they're going to have somebody come in, they did draft a couple linemen who I think Emory Jones in particular, we won't dive into him, but Emory Jones Jr. was a tackle out of LSU. I think he's a good pickup on the offensive line for him for sure. And they've got some age happening on that offensive line, so it doesn't hurt at all to bring in some younger guys. But in terms of skill, and the other guy I'll bring up before we talk skill position is I can't help but talk about the Justin Tucker draft replacement that was taken.
Yeah.
Life comes at you pretty fast, folks. Justin Tucker was the best kicker in the league, 1 year ago. He had a horrible season, and then he had an even worse offseason.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, Justin Tucker, a guy who 365 days ago, any team in the NFL would have taken, is jobless. And
good fantasy player. Great fantasy player the last 5-6 years.
Fantasy player.
Well, except for last
great
year.
Fantasy
well,
player.
yeah, last year.
Last year,
they drafted a kicker out of Arizona, Tyler Loop. Good luck if you want to ride that rookie kicker, because we've all seen how that goes. Rookie kickers are really scary. I would avoid him.
They're usually good on their second or third team, though. So wherever he ends up,
that's right.
Second or third team, let's go.
Yeah, but they did draft one skill position, and they waited till the 6th round where they had 4 picks. No, 5 picks in the 6th round.
Yeah, it was like all Baltimore.
Round was the Ravens. They drafted a wide receiver out of Colorado, LeJohntay Wester. Don't call me Webster. He is, I think, a project at best. I will say this: he's very quick. He's shifty. He played with Shedeur, so he's had the spotlight on him, so you don't have to worry about that piece. But I think at max, this guy's upside is a slot, and maybe he gets a good matchup. He's very small. He's not somebody who's going to take a lot of contact. He does do some punt returning, as you just saw in the highlights there. So there is some value to him there, not necessarily from a fantasy standpoint, from an overall standpoint. He does return punts, so I think they saw the opportunity to get somebody who could help them in multiple pieces of the game. But I worry a lot about, especially in your division, Tommy, in the North, it's a physical division, and you've got physical corners, and this guy's going to get hit a lot at the line, and I just don't know if he's going to be able to get open on a regular basis.
Too.
So
very cold.
It is.
Late
very cold.
November, December, it's freezing cold.
Absolutely. And this is a guy who had some issues with drops too. So I do not have this guy high on the board. Watch him in preseason, see if they're going to utilize him in an interesting way. I always like to see how teams scheme these new guys, but he's a backup option at this point. And hopefully you're not having to start LeJohntay at any point this Guillotine season, or things may have gone south for you.
Or was he shadowed by the Shedeur Sanders Travis Hunter show?
You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
Slot receivers nowadays, between the tight ends and the slot receivers, their productions are picking up. And I know he was outside at Colorado, but I think he brought up a good point. His size and his speed is going to have him at the slot. But in the AFC North, you got to be ready to play in the cold. And I don't remember Colorado coming north of the Mason-Dixie line anytime during their season. So we'll see what
it's going to be. It's going to be interesting for sure with him. But they need somebody to step up in that receiver slot for them, and they really have. In terms of new blood, he's just about it. So that's kind of it for Baltimore. If you're in a Guillotine defense draft, I would consider looking at Baltimore. But
every year,
but the most exciting of all leagues.
They have the identity
Guillotine.
crisis of that's everyone. When I tell everybody, everyone in the AFC North has an identity crisis, and everybody's like, "What about Baltimore?" I said, "Are you kidding me? They have one of the best offensive players in the NFL, and all they do is draft defense.
Yeah.
That is called identity crisis."
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, as much as I enjoy beating Baltimore as a Chiefs fan, the purist in me would like to see Lamar Jackson with some real weapons at wideout, because it'd be a fun show, I think. So I wish it at some point before he gets killed, which, it could happen anytime the dude just gets one hit away for Lamar Jackson. So
it's not really his line. His line's usually good, and he avoids pressure really well. Just even after 22 seconds of letting nobody hit him, his wideout still can't get open. So he dumps it to Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews can't be everywhere on the field at the same. And I'm sorry, but Mr. Henry can't catch. Brick hands.
Stone paws Jackson. Yeah.
And I don't think, do they even have J.K. Dobbins anymore as a number 2?
No. He was Chargers last year, and I don't even know where he is this year yet.
They don't even have a viable number 2 to catch out of the backfield. Just, hey, Lamar, run around until you find somebody open. Just chuck it down there and hope that they catch it.
That's
if you're playing the Bengals, you'll get open. But if you're playing anybody but the Bengals, you might have a problem.
That's right. So that is Baltimore. Thanks, Chiz.
So we're going to go next to Cleveland. We go to the mistake by the lake. We go to the original brown bag fans, I believe.
Yeah.
The OGs of brown bags.
The OGs of brown bag. The Cleveland Browns. Perennial hope for Cleveland and Believeland. What do we have in Believeland this year, Dex? What did they do?
All right. So their first pick in the second round is, I think it's going to be helpful. I'm going to turn this one over to Tommy because, like I said, not only is he from Ohio, not only is he a humongous Bengals fan, but he is an Ohio State junkie. So I'm going to give him the privilege of talking up one of his boys, running back Quinshon Judkins from the champion Ohio State University.
Yes. So Quinshon Judkins, obviously, it's going to be interesting to see how he turns things around being the lone back this year. Last year, obviously, it's very easy to have a breakout season when you're sharing time with Travion Henderson. But the good thing about those two guys, at least at Ohio State, nobody was stingy about, carries and yards. But obviously, they both had great speed. They both had, phenomenal, I wouldn't say pass blocking because that was more of a Travion Henderson thing, but they could bust through the line. So Quinshon Judkins, 6 foot, 219 pounds. His 40-yard dash time was 4.48. He's very difficult to bring down. He forces missed tackles with power and elusiveness. He's got that burst and acceleration to pop through the internal layers of the defense. Here we see him just banging through the first downs. He's well proportionate. He's got a compact build. Here we have him scoring touchdowns. Usually that was a Travion Henderson thing, but they usually use Judkins for the first down, second down. But again, we'll have to see what happens with him this year because he did share time a lot last year with Ohio and the year before that too. So it was like the Travion Quinshon thing. But the only area that they said he needs to really work on is his pass protection. He wasn't really good at reading the blocks that were coming through the lines and stuff like that. But overall, as a guillotine player, we'll have to see how he lines up. But I'm pretty sure the Browns are going to end up starting him pretty early this year. And the way that the coach compared him, his pro comparison, they called him the next Kareem Hunt. So we all know Kareem Hunt did in Cleveland when he was there after, all the stuff that happened in the wonderful world of Kansas City. He went to Cleveland and he shared time with Nick Chubb, and those two had phenomenal seasons. So we could be looking at something like that again up there in Cleveland if they can figure out who's going to hand him the ball. But definitely a solid guillotine pick if he comes out in the starting role or maybe even a solid number 2 role. But he doesn't catch a lot of passes out of the backfield. He's definitely more like a power back kind of thing. So that's what he looks like.
The only other competition there that I'm tracking, because Nick Chubb signed correctly and not with Cleveland.
He went to Houston. So now you got Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb in Houston backfield.
And Woody Marks, as we talked about in an earlier episode.
Yeah, that's right.
So they also have Jerome Ford, who I know had some carries. But how does Quinshon Judkins – is there a scenario where he's not RB1 on Guillotine draft day this summer? I just don't see
injury?
It. Well, barring that, but if everybody's vertical, he's RB1, right?
I would definitely have to guess so.
And that's a team that clearly isn't going to be throwing the rock that much no matter who, and we'll talk about that when we get to the quarterbacks in here in a second. But despite all that, I think he's going to be a valuable guillotine asset no matter what, because he's going to get the carries. So even on bad teams, running backs are valuable. Starting running backs are going to get all the goal line carries because Jerome Ford's not taking them. Come on now. That's
yeah,
not
they
happening.
actually just released. I got their starters right now. Of course, the quarterback is blank. They have Judkins RB1,
Okay.
and then Judy Joku is the tight end, and then Fannin is the other wide receiver.
Oh yeah, let me get on to that one. Okay, so that brings us to the next one, and this dude is, I think, exciting. So tight end Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green. Like, where the hell is Bowling Green? I don't know.
It's in Ohio, baby.
Yeah, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in Ohio.
There it is. So that's where it's from. So from Ohio. But Harold Fannin Jr. is a guy who had one of the best FBS seasons ever. Like, it was ridiculous. And just watch this dude play. Got his highlights up there. But he had 117 catches last season. Number 1 in the country. He had 1,555 yards. Guess where that was? Number 1 in the country. First consensus All-American in Bowling Green history. Apparently, he's got exceptionally strong hands, highly athletic, but he is kind of a raw dude. So his route running's not great. Pass blocking's not great. But look at these highlights, man. He's trying to do his best Saquon Barkley impersonations, jumping over people, hurdling people. But he grabs the ball and he hits people. I mean, 6'3", 240. That's a big guy.
Big boy.
To be in the middle of the field.
He is.
So here's the other stuff about him. I mean, it's just so much. This guy has ridiculous talent. I'm kind of surprised he went as late as he did. But like we talked about with Ashton Jonte last week, Fannin amassed 868 yards after contact. That is a lot. He forced 32 missed tackles, both records for tight ends. Yeah, he had 33 carries in the backfield even for 159 yards. So he's someone that can kind of do everything. We kind of talked that a little bit with Warren for the Colts. Is another tight end that's just a humongous athlete, big body. Look at, he's just juking people, carrying guys down the field with them.
Here's the thing, Dex. It's with these guys. There's definitely like this mid-major factor that comes into play.
Gonna get there. Yep.
And they're like, I don't know. Can he do it against big competition? A guy near and dear to our hearts, Travis Kelce, though, came from this same area of the country in a mid-major, and sometimes these guys are the diamonds in the rough, and this guy has at least all the data that you can get right now to show that he could be really successful. I think he's one of the better bets out of some of the mid majors to break out this year.
Well, I think Shiz, what we were talking about earlier, he's posted as a tight end. But how often do we see tight ends really on the line nowadays? Like Travis Kelce is a perfect example. They're spread out. They're in the slot. They're running routes. And I'm watching this guy I'm watching this guy catch the ball and run over people. I mean
over-the-shoulder catches. That's a wide-out catch on a big old body.
Yeah.
Right? And look at him. Juke.
He's got some moves. He's got some moves.
The goal, I mean, really the goal of an NFL offense these days is to create mismatches. Right. So you get your best athletes, your largest athletes that can still run out there on cornerbacks, or get them lined up with a linebacker that can't keep up with their speed, whatever. But you create mismatches like that. And guys like this will take advantage of that all day.
And as we look at these highlights, the one other thing I wanted to highlight for a stat that just jumped out at me, because we've talked about a whole bunch of wide receivers and tight ends already on our showcase, looked at the rookies. He had 2 drops on 171 career targets. 2 out of 171.
That does not happen with tight ends.
I know.
Wow, the hands, man.
And when you're talking about, I have 3rd down and something, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 8, who are you throwing to if not this guy? So I think he's going to get tons of targets. Whoever is under center, Harold Fannin Jr. is someone to really watch out for as we go through the summer. Look out for Harold, man. I'm going to keep him on my list, and I'm going to watch how these games progress and how the camps and summer camp goes.
Is he going to be a Joe Flacco favorite? Is that what
he should be an everybody favorite? If this guy's in front of you and open, he's going to catch it. Just put it near him.
Is he going to be a Kenny Pickett go-to?
Right? Think about the stack formation, and you fake the handoff. Who's splitting out to the right in the inside the touchdown? That's that guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's that tight end that can make that move, that first move, and he's there to score that touchdown. I mean, that's
so Harold Fannin. He is someone to keep in mind for those late round tight ends. And once you've filled up your 8 spots, he could be number 9 next pick off the board. So that is Harold Fannin Jr. Very excited about how he can translate into the league. We'll see how he does.
The next one right now.
Yeah, no, Harold Fannin.
Jot down that one right now.
The other one we have is Dylan Sampson. So they drafted a running back, Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. He had an incredible year. So if you are a Volunteer fan, you know what this guy did. He had 1,491 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, but he set your school record with 22 touchdowns, and he was selected 4th round, 126 overall. So he's going to be in the backfield. So it's kind of surprising they took a lot of offense for Cleveland, and they need it. Let's be honest about that. So Quinshon Judkins, we just talked about him. He's probably going to be the number 1, but Dylan Sampson is probably going to be in the mix. I don't know if he'll make it to 2.
Yeah.
That's why we watch all the preseason. We'll see what happens. But he's the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, the SEC is pretty good. I'm just saying. There's a lot of people down there.
Yeah.
And he set a school single season records for rushing touchdowns, consecutive games with a rushing score, so 11. Again, he's in the SEC, man. So 11 games in a row he got a touchdown. He broke a 95-year-old school touchdown mark. So for those who saw the old record, you are now 96. So it's kind of crazy. But he ran a 4.42 40-yard dash. He's a top speed over 22 miles an hour. I guess back in high school, he ran a 10.48 for 100 meters. So he can get down and cook. So once that dude's moving, he's pretty elite. He's known for vision, patience, and contact balance. So when we talked about a few other guys like that, he's apparently among those. So I got to be honest, I did not watch a lot of Tennessee Volunteers games. I mean, I watched a little bit, and when they were playing the teams I watched them. But all in all, this kid had an incredible year. Dylan Sampson is someone I think could have a potential role. Again, it might be injury needed to get him into that spotlight, but he's someone to definitely keep on the list on the side, see what kind of role he carves out for in this Cleveland offense. Because if they do anything like traditional Cleveland, they're going to run a lot. And we already talked about Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Both those guys were fantasy assets for Guillotine. So it could be a 2-horse race, and we'll just see how it kind of plays out. But if you guys have anything else on Dylan Sampson you'd like to highlight that you noticed from last year or just from watching any of the footage?
The only thing about, and I watched him a few times in college, the thing I remember about him, tell me if I got the wrong guy here, Dex, but if I remember right, he's super young.
Yeah, he's 20. He's the youngest running back in the 2025 class.
Right.
Wow.
So, yeah, okay. So this is the same guy. I still think he has physical development to happen.
Yeah, he could get even bigger.
So
yeah.
I think he could add some weight, and I think that would help him. He's going to learn. The question you have about a guy like this when he comes out that early is, it's kind of like the kicker we talked about. Is he better on the second team that he hits?
Yeah.
Right. It's like the Browns are going to get like the learning curve, and I think he's explosive enough to make plays in the NFL.
I do too. He's fast.
But he may just be a little green.
Yep. And
that's
I think,
the only question I have.
As we talked about a couple of other guys, and even Quinshon Judkins, he's not real good in pass blocking. So all the quarterbacks are like, great, more of those guys. At least we drafted 2 dudes who can't pass block. That's awesome. But some other issues he has. So he's had, and I hate this, man, but hamstring injuries on my skill position guys, they never go away.
That's
it's
tough.
a permanent
That
cue,
so
man.
Tough.
It's just going to be a permanent Q next to his name is what I envision seeing. When I saw that, I'm like, ugh, hamstring injuries, huh? History of them, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that stood out, as good as Harold Fannin Jr. was with just catching every single one that came to him, this guy, Dylan Sampson, lost 4 fumbles in his last 7 games. So you just can't be laying it on the ground that much. But again, he's super young, and he probably walked around campus with it glued to his chest, and maybe...
Yeah, they're going to have to pull a program with him.
That's exactly
walking
right.
around Cleveland.
Yep, and so I think there's room to grow, like you said. He's super young. I think he's got tons of talent. I mean, that's evident. He just broke Tennessee school records, all of them. So rushing, touchdowns. He's super fast. He can catch the ball. If he can keep his hammies intact and hang on to the ball, he could be an impact player for Cleveland this year. So keep him in mind. Keep in mind. Dylan
they got
Sampson.
his pro comparison as J.K. Dobbins. And we all know how J.K. Dobbins looked coming out of college until he got hurt his rookie year when he went to Baltimore. But, I mean, he was looking pretty strong. So if this guy can find a home back there with Judkins, he might have some explosives to him.
Yep,
for sure.
So, and then as we get back to the engine of the ship, who's going to be running the engine of the ship for Cleveland?
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, they have Joe Flacco. We talked about that. But they also
drafted,
have
plenty of options.
They do. All tremendous. So they drafted 2 rookies to go along with their 2 rookie running backs. They got 2 rookie quarterbacks to compete against each other, both of high college pedigree, I mean, for sure. So I'll talk about the first one, and then I'll have Chiz kind of bring us into the other one. So the first one they took in the 3rd round, 94th overall, quarterback Dylan Gabriel. So I would say from Oregon, you'd be like, I don't remember from there, because he also played at UCF and Oklahoma and Oregon. When I made a joke a few episodes back about, well, maybe he just didn't have enough games played like Dylan Gabriel. If he had one more season left. So he played 6 seasons of college football. And it's the most of any quarterback in FBS history. So
hey, Dex, come on. If I could have stayed in college for 6 years, I'm all in too.
Yeah, it's too. They're called doctors. Yeah, so it's one of those gigs. He just played, but he's really good, but he's kind of small, right? So he's 6 foot, 200 pounds. And it's not small for normal human population, but for quarterbacks, you generally want them 6'3" to 6'5", be able to see over the line, man. So I don't know what that's going to do, but he did it in college. So 3,800 yards. He had 30 touchdowns and 6 picks, so he takes care of the ball. He had a 73% completion ratio, so that's really good. He throws to the right team. But here's the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. So again, we talked about all these great players. First Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year is Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. He's really good at the short and intermediate routes. He's going to be great in a West Coast type system if they do that. And so, again, if Judkins and Sampson and Fannin are all going to be there on these quick routes, he could be pretty good in that scheme. But as far as, like, pure athlete, I don't know. So he's not very tall. He doesn't have a very good arm. And at least he's got small hands. So he's just got all those things, right? He's just maybe a little bit slow, too. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do, but they drafted him first, and we can go conspiracy theory all you want, but Dylan Gabriel came off the board 2 rounds sooner than the next guy. So Shedeur Sanders. But let's talk about Dylan Gabriel first. Yeah, go ahead, Tommy. What do you got?
So Dylan Gabriel, all right, that's going to be hard for me to say this, but he did hand the Buckeyes a loss second week of the season last year, and they did win the Natty. So that is that. I'm sorry, but that is an accomplishment. Okay, they did come back and absolutely stroke them once we found our offense in the Natty. But I will say this about Dylan Gabriel: I found something else on him too. You said he was 6 foot. That might be squeezing an inch in on him.
Yes, that's wearing his Skechers, really tall Skechers.
That's very tall.
Yeah, that's right.
First team All Big 12, 2023. The Manning Award finalist in 2023. Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award finalist in 2023. And All Big 12 honorable mention. Obviously, that was before he came back to the Big Ten. They were on the verge of a perfect season. And I know that, everyone talks about, their running game and their defense and all that other kind of stuff. But you got to have that quarterback that can distribute that ball when it comes time.
Yep.
And, I watched that game, the first game between Ohio State and Oregon, and it came down to the wire, and it was both of those quarterbacks throwing the ball to their receivers and making those decisions. And obviously Dylan Gabriel made those decisions on that first game because they walked away with the victory.
And as you see these highlights, I mean, he's getting open. He's throwing to the right guy. He's finding the seams. He's finding the windows. But I noticed just off the bat, these are not lasers down the field. They're accurate.
Mm-hmm.
They're accurate down the field. But when you get to the pros, the ones that used to get completed in college are now picked by the really good safeties and corners in the pros. That's I don't know if that's being unfair to him, that I'm saying he's not going to adjust or make the jump. I don't know. I just think it's harder for those guys when you don't have that natural talent just to be able to get away with more mistakes. But he's accurate. We'll see what he does.
These are guys, who this guy reminds me a bit of is Alex Smith. So, these
had quite a bit better arm and more mobile.
He's bigger.
I feel
Definitely
like,
bigger.
I feel
And
like
bigger.
Alex Smith was bigger, but I don't think anyone was afraid of Alex Smith's arm. But he was a real smart guy, and
Yeah.
like I think for guys like this to do well in the NFL, you got to be really smart. I mean, he's because he's not going to be able to thread the. He's not going to Aaron Rodgers this, in between four guys and sling it in between and because he throws it so dang hard it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's
He
gonna
has to
have
be smarter.
smart.
Yeah.
And like
There's something to be said about that.
He won everywhere he went.
Yes, he did.
He's a winner. He produces, great offense. So I think he's worth a flyer for Cleveland. I don't believe he's going to have any fantasy relevance this year.
Yeah, I don't think so either. If we just cut to the chase. But I think he could definitely, I don't know. I mean, if he's someone that can sit back and learn for a couple years. I mean, the problem is he's already 24, so how many more years he got to sit around watching?
Yeah.
I think also he is someone that's going to pick it up quick. He's been playing multiple years at a high level with the best competition in college football, which we all agree is kind of the minor leagues for the NFL. And he's done really well. Like he's competed, just like Tommy read off all the awards, and I told you is all Big Ten Player of the Year. I mean, whatever, man.
He's going to be great for his. He's going to be great for his second team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whichever team he goes next, he's going to be phenomenal for. I'm going to go probably
it might be Geno.
Yeah. It might be a Dolphin.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I can totally see that. I can totally see that.
Or maybe back in Seattle, you know what I mean? Like you could see him going that way, back up to the home areas.
Yeah.
It is. So the one Dylan is going to be competing with most to earn snaps and reps and see where they fall in the depth chart is Shedeur Sanders. Chisholm,
prime time.
Tell us a little bit about Shedeur.
Okay, I got to say this. If you're a Cleveland fan, listen to this. Let me just say I'm sorry, because this is like the circus. What the hell are you doing? Living in Dallas, I can tell you, this is such a Jerry Jones type pick. Like, hey, let's get the most baggage, the most eyeballs, the most controversy, and let's bring him into town. And you didn't learn you haven't learned your lesson. Do you remember one Johnny Manziel? This is Johnny Manziel.
Well, Johnny Manziel is doing coke and drugs and hookers the whole time. I think Shedeur is going to be a little better than that.
Remains to be seen.
True.
I'm not saying his off the field is the same as Johnny Manziel, but the circus that comes with him is Johnny Manziel. And the problem with this is, listen, let me be objective for a second. He had a great completion rate in college.
Wasn't it top in the country?
Top of the country, 74%. He has a ton of football IQ, obviously. He grew up in a football household. He knows the game. But there's a couple huge red flags. He's 6'2", 215. It's a good size, right? There's a couple huge red flags for me when I watch Shedeur Sanders. Besides the fact that, do you want this in your clubhouse? Okay, that's a whole separate issue. And he's not as productive as Johnny Manziel, by the way. Johnny Manziel had some real production in college. Shedeur Sanders took 42 sacks.
Yeah.
Okay?
That led the
sacks.
nation.
In college, okay? Now, newsflash, the defenses are faster in the NFL, okay? So if you're not able to avoid a sack at Colorado in the Big 12, Big 10, Pac, whatever hell they're in right now, I don't know what conference Colorado's in anymore, but if you're not able to avoid a sack playing there, you think you're going to be able to avoid a sack in the NFL? No, it's not going to happen. The other thing about him is, besides the bad interviews, which are legendary now, everyone's
Legendary.
talking about
Greatest clips ever made. Greatest clips ever made.
How bad this guy was in his interview. He also has some issues with quick decision making. So when you combine those,
Shedeur Sanders is exactly that. I mean, he just doesn't get it out quick enough.
Right?
That's what 42 sacks means. It means you're dropping back looking
you
for a
hold
big
on
play
to the ball too
all
long,
the time. Yeah.
right?
That's the opposite of Will Howard that we just talked about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Get it out quick.
Exactly. So sometimes I'm not saying he's not a tremendous athlete. I think he is. I think he's probably, if you got him in any sport, he'd probably be a tremendous athlete. And he's got the football IQ. But is he worth what he's bringing to the table? And I think no. And I think the reason everybody waited for this guy and the reason he dropped this far was because of that. Here's the problem with the Browns. They weren't smart enough after they already took Dylan Gabriel to say, this isn't worth it. We've already got a competition. We've got Dylan Gabriel. We've got Joe Flacco. We've got Kenny Pickett. Let's make it even screwier, and let's bring in Shedeur Sanders. And while we're at it, give Johnny Manziel a call. I heard he's free. Like, this is the kind of stuff that the Browns do, and it's why the Browns are the Browns. Like, stop. I mean, I can see another organization doing this at this point. There was value at round 6. I'm not going to say there wasn't value at round 6. For sure there was value. But, like, if you're thinking in your guillotine draft, I'm gonna pull one over on everybody, and I'm gonna sneak Shedeur Sanders in a late round. Good luck to you, my friend.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch this dude with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Come play in my guillotine league if you're going to try and sneak Shedeur Sanders in there as a pick, please. I will pay your entry fee if you come in and take Shedeur Sanders.
If that's your strategy, I got your money.
I mean, they went 9-4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What you said, Chiz. Who did they play? Johnny Manziel played some people. You know what I mean? Like they actually played some people, and he did well before he started shooting the rock and all that stuff. But they were 9-4, and he played in the Big 12, and essentially they played nobody. So here's a question: let's take Will Howard or Dylan Gabriel with the season that he had. Let's put them in the Big 12 and see if they get more than what was his yard. I don't even know what his yardage was. Let's see what they do with Travis Hunter. And that other beast that John was talking about.
Oh, my God. He had phenomenal tools, to your point. So I actually think of these two guys. The less talented dude physically is going to win the third spot. I think Dylan Gabriel is going to win the third spot. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is going to win the third spot. I could be wrong. I think Gabriel's going to be 3. Now, I don't know where Kenny Pickett falls. He's the wild card. I think Flacco's the starter because – why not?
We keep not even talking about Deshaun Watson, but Deshaun Watson is still under contract for the Browns.
Well, he's busy getting a massage.
I know he's at a massage. He and Justin are hanging out, giving high fives.
They're going over their rosters.
Deshaun Watson. I forgot about Deshaun
They're at the massage parlor of Menage a Trois.
That is the most expensive and worst pick, or worst, what would they say, the worst move ever in NFL at this point.
Worst contract signing ever.
At least they guaranteed everything.
Boy, Houston dodged that bullet.
Right? If you look at their current depth chart, Deshaun Watson is 5.
Yeah.
Oh, he's hurt.
4. He's behind Shedeur Sanders right
and
now.
And whoever else they bring in.
He's got an ankle monitor on one side, and the other side he's got a leg brace. So I mean, it's hard to play football with an ankle monitor on, guys. I mean, not that I've done it, but I've heard it's quite tough.
Yeah, those arraignments coming up.
It's a good point. It's a good point, Tommy. I will give you that.
So that, gentlemen, is our tour around the AFC North. Again, very defensive heavy. All these teams took a lot of defense. They took some flyers on some quarterbacks. So a lot of the top quarterbacks in college went to this division. And we had a couple good running backs. We got the player of the year, Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green, who set all these records, had one of the best seasons ever. So there's a lot of exciting talent. It's not very many people that we talked about, but there's a lot of talent squished into these 4 teams. I think it's going to be fun to watch. And as we get into the Guillotine draft season, again, we'll do our rankings for every position. And so we'll be watching these and monitoring the summer camps and OTAs and all that sort of stuff all the way up until the season starts. So keep with us. Gentlemen, is there any other final thoughts you want to talk about? Oh, I know, Tom, we got one more thing we got to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, Tommy, you want to talk about the most hated player by the fan base? Is that what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about. Chisholm, what do you got?
What you got?
Something you want?
Oh, well, do this first, and then I'll do. You guys do what you were going to do, and then I'll do this.
This one's going to be fun.
After.
So Tommy's got something for each one of these teams.
I pulled up. It was, I forget who did it, but it was a poll done by the NFL. Every fan base's most hated player. Okay.
It's historic.
Yeah,
it's historical.
So before we do the AFC North, you guys want to do your chieftains, your babies?
This one already. I know this one.
Chisholm,
I could be wrong.
It's in history of the franchise, right?
Well, this just says most hated player.
Fan base. By its fan base.
By its fan base.
It's Larry Johnson.
No. Nope.
God.
You got to think more recent. More recent.
Tommy,
is it your own player
recent.
or the team's own player, or the team in the division that they played against, or what?
No, he's in the AFC, but
so we're not talking about players on their franchise.
Wait.
History.
I thought you were talking about the Chiefs fan base's most hated player of the Chiefs. Ever.
No. It's
Okay.
who they hate the most.
Okay.
And
Chiefs
I was
fans
on
hate the
Elway
most?
too. So John Elway's my pick. John Elway.
Nope. So believe it or not, voted this year was Josh Allen, with an honorable mention of Tom Brady. Third place.
Tom Brady does suck.
Brady.
Third place, Joe Burrow. So you got Allen. Yep,
Yeah.
you got Allen, Brady, and then Burrow, which I understand the Brady-Burrow thing because they're the only ones that have actually beat Patty. But the Josh Allen thing, I was surprised when I pulled this up. I was like, who the hell did this? But, I mean, it kind of makes sense because every year it's like, will Josh Allen do it this year?
Yeah.
So far, he hasn't. He did win in the regular season. So I think that's why in this poll the salt was there because he did beat your guy. He took away the perfect season.
That.
Yeah, it's hard for me to hate a guy who we beat every time, though.
So Bengals. What do we got? Bengals.
You guys want to take a guess? I mean, do you
Bengals
really
most hated?
Most hated player by the Cincinnati?
It's probably Pat Mahomes.
It is Taylor Swift. No, I'm just kidding. It is Patrick Mahomes voted by the fan base.
Okay.
I actually said if it wasn't anybody except for the player, I would say the owner. But, it's got to be a player, so it was Patrick Mahomes. Okay. You guys want to guess who the Browns' most hated player is?
It's going to be, probably someone from Pittsburgh, maybe.
Is it a current player? These are all current players?
He is technically a current player.
Okay. Deshaun Watson.
It is Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
It is the current number 5 quarterback of Deshaun Watson.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Or sad. One of the two.
Yeah. Who else? Oh, Baltimore.
Baltimore is most hated.
Oh, it's got to be it. It's got to be.
Guys, it's going to be Pat Mahomes again?
Nope.
Go ahead, Prue.
I was going to say Pat Mahomes again, just because they keep knocking him out of the playoffs.
Yeah, they can't make it past us.
Wait, Tommy, is it current? Is it current?
It's current.
Okay. I'm going to go Burrow.
Nope. Because
no,
Burrow can't beat him. You got to think who beat him this year. Who beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens this year? There's one person, one team, one person.
Oh, Josh Allen.
Is Josh Allen. Josh Allen was voted the most hated player by Baltimore fans.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And then to round it out for the Pittsburgh Steelers, not a current player, but most hated person in Pittsburgh.
I need to
get Montez?
Nope. That's a good guess,
one I threw out too.
Because he definitely took out a couple of the Steelers. But
totally.
And he's in prison. So
he CTE'd Antonio Brown, right?
So
Hines Ward.
I did some research on this. The reason this guy is hated so much, he took the Steelers out of 6 playoff contentions.
I don't even know.
He also has 6 rings.
6 playoff.
Tom Brady?
Tom Brady.
It's Tom Brady.
Really?
So that was why. Yep, I had to look it up. I was like, why would it be Tom Brady? Like you'd think it'd be somebody like newer.
That's right though. Right during that run, they were really good. And they
Roethlisberger got to the first one, and then did he get to another one?
No, but that was one of the things they always said. Brady. Yep, because
Brady
was that clutch guy.
Brady or Manning.
Yeah.
Right. Those
That's
three.
Great.
Right.
I don't really know any other.
Everybody's most hated player. Chisholm, what do you got before we take us out?
Oh, just wanted to remind everybody, Guillotine content's starting to come hot and heavy. We're going to have an episode that you need to check out. It'll be up by the time this goes live, probably. It's a how-to. If you've never done a Guillotine League and you're like, why would I want to do a Guillotine League? Why wouldn't I just do a regular fantasy league? We're going to walk you through why a Guillotine League is better than a fantasy league. And we're going to tell you the reasons what you should do to evaluate them, how you need to think about them. And just if you're interested, it'll be a real quick one, probably 10-minute episode, but check it out and more Guillotine content coming.
Awesome. Well, thank you much. Thank you to our special guest, Tommy, for coming on tonight.
Woo!
Hey, I appreciate it. Anytime you guys call me, I'll be there.
Tommy. Well done.
Absolutely. Love the shirt. Thanks for coming on. We'll have you back on again, probably multiple times this season. And really, that's all we got on this division. So next week, we are moving into the NFC North. Oh, boy. So I might have to go find me a Vikings fan to give me some backup in that one. But it'll be fun.
Right.
So we'll knock that out. And look forward to that one next week. In the meantime, we'll have some shorts coming out, so check those out if you just want the quick blurbs on the players we talked about tonight. But in the meantime, until next week, stay shrewd.